Hariam everyone, welcome to this class on Upadesha Saara. We have done two classes so far. This is the third one. So we'll start with the chanting first and then we'll move on to the main class. You can all join at your end. I will chant at my end. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Gananam Tva Ganpatigam Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। We'll also chant the first shloka of this text. कर्तुराज्ञया प्राप्यते फलम् कर्म किं परं कर्म तच्चडम्. So we were at the fifth shloka. So we'll just share that onto the screen and continue from there. This is the fifth verse, पांचवा श्लोक. जगत ईषधी युक्त सेवनम अष्टमूर्ति देव पूजनम. जगत ईषधी युक्त सेवनम अष्टमूर्ति देव पूजनम. So the vision that we need to change. Jagat Ishadi. In the whole Jagat, in the whole universe, we have to do Ishadi. We have to develop the Ishwar Buddhi. We have to develop the awareness of the Lord pervading everything in the universe. And then through that Yukta Sevanam, through that Buddhi, we enter into the Seva. We enter into the service of the Lord. In what form? Ashtamurti Bhrit. In his Ashtamurti form. In that way, we will do Deva Pujana. We will do his worship. We will offer our obeisances to the Lord. So here we see that Jagat Ishadi represents seeing the oneness of the universe as a Lord. And we saw part of this earlier also. So just to repeat that. So when we see that Lord as every part, as pervading every part of the universe, like we have seen in other texts also, it's available in so many other places. Like in Purush Sukta, the whole universe is described as the body of the Lord. Then in Ishavasya Upanishad, Ishavasyamidam Sarvam, Yat Kinchit Jagatyam Jagat, Tena Taktena Punjitaha, Magrit Kasya Siddhanam. We saw Ishavasya Upanishad there also we saw that this whole universe is pervaded by the Lord. Everything belongs to Him only. And that thought we have to remember when we ever interact in the world. Everything belongs to the Lord. Nothing is ours. So once that thought is there, then a lot of our desires, lot of our worries, lot of our attachments, they wither away, they fall away. Because when we do develop that feeling that nothing is ours, then we retain only that we clearly see that the Lord has given to us. So in this way, we are able to see. So another important point about this Ashtamurti. So this Ashtamurti represents seeing the Lord as Ashtamurti, as the universe himself, not just as the idol in the temple, the vigraha in the temple where I worship the image or the form that is dear to me. So I should see him as the Ashtamurti, as one who is there in all of creation, right? Was coming to that. So when we see that Ashtamurti, we have to move away from our limited concept of Lord as one who is if I go to my temple, then only I'll worship. Otherwise, my worship will be lacking. So because of that, we have to move farther. Ashtamurti represents the Lord in the cosmos. So the Ashtamurti represents, first is the five elements. So the five elements, the Prithvi, Jal, Agni, Vayu, Akash. Then the sixth is the sixth and seventh are the sun and the moon, Surya Chandra. And the eighth is the conscient factor, the Jeev, as the consciousness that is common through all of these. So in this way, when we see the Lord as the sentiency pervading the universe, supported by all the five elements and the Surya and Chandrama. So in different texts, we have seen Surya and Chandrama, they are the eyes of the Lord. Right, Akash is his mastak, his head, and so on. So in these different ways, the Lord is represented of having different forms. So in Shiva Puran, Mahabharata also, this Ashtamurti is described. So this Ashtamurti, different names of Shiva also are attached to each of these. Right, so in all of those different names, Bhava is attached to water, the form of Shiva, Bhava. Then there is the Sarva. Sarva is attached to the earth element. Then also Sarva is sometimes used as Sharva. Sharva and Sarva, both are synonymous. Also in Mahabharata you will see Sharva. In other Purans you will see Sarva. So that is one name of Shiva relating to this Murti, Prithvi Murti. In that sense we can say. Then Rudra is for fire. Rudra relating to Agni. Then Ugra is related to air, Vayu. Then Bhimrup is related to space, Akash. Then Pashupati, that is related to the Yajman or the individual soul or the Jivatma. And then Mahadev is representing the moon. And then Ishan is the sun. So usually Ishan, we say Ishan Kon, the northeast corner. So that is also another name for the sun. So that Ishan also name for Mahadev also, or Shivji also. So all these are different ways of seeing the Lord in all of creation. So what does that do? Wherever I see, whatever I see His blessings. I am sitting on the earth, that is the Lord who's given me this space, or this place to sit. And I see the space above me. He has given me a covering, protection, or a house, or an abode. For where I stay. So all the time He is watching me. When I see His eyes as the sun and the moon, I see that the Lord is always with me. So that closeness that is brought about by this vision, it helps me relate more closely to the Lord. Right? So this Ashtamurti form helps us to see the Lord in all the creation, see Him in everything. And because the creation is not separate from each of us, the individual and the total are connected. There is a very nice story in the Puranas also about Ganeshji and Parvati. So Ganeshji was playing with a kitten, a small cat, and he was playing roughly, tossing it up, catching it, and in that the cat got scratches also, and it was a bit hurt. So then when he went back and then he saw Parvati Ma and she was a bit angry. And she said, "You should not be so rough." So he said, "Why?" She showed him the scratches were there on her face and chest. The scratches that were on the kitten, they appeared on his mother's face also. So Prakriti or Samashti is represented by Devi Ma. So Devi Ma, whatever we do, whenever we hurt anyone in nature, that Prakriti or nature or Devi Ma is also hurt. So that represents that oneness that we should constantly strive to see. So once we see that oneness, then our worship moves to a higher stage where we move from the normal worship of, collecting flowers, offering deep and offering incense and so on. We move from that. That is the starting point. Don't miss out on anything. It doesn't mean that that is less important. Everything is a step or a stage in this path. We shall see with everything, all of the stages, each of them are important. And it's not that if something is said to be higher, then the lower should be ignored. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो नीचे है तो उसको हम छोड़ दें. So therefore we should always see that there are starting points. So when we do this small puja and all, then they develop within us that beautiful bhava, which is appreciated by others also around us. So then the kids around us also, they try to follow, they try to do those things. I told last time the story about Bal Gangadhar Tilak. So his son said that you don't do puja these days, so I also will not do. So he said, when you learn to do the puja of a billion Indians, then you will not need to do puja, but till then you have to do. So therefore, once our vision becomes expanded, then maybe this can be decreased. But that doesn't mean that you need to give up or not even start doing and straight away go to the highest. So straight away going to the highest is not going to be easy, right? You have to slowly start. So you have to start with, as a kid, as I said, you have to drive a tricycle. Teen पहिए वाली. Then you have to move on to the bicycle. And a circus expert can do it on a single wheel. So that is how, when our practice becomes sharper, we move on to higher stage, right? And therefore, in this way, we are samarpet, we are surrendered to the Lord. And therefore, in this surrender, we develop a feeling of oneness, we develop a feeling of love, and we develop all the values and the goodness that we ascribe to the Lord. जो गुण हम ईश्वर को बोलते हैं वो हमारे अंदर भी दिखने शुरू हो जाते हैं, because we see ourselves as an extension of the Lord, and therefore we have to be very, very careful in all of our dealings, right? So I'll just illustrate this with a few stories. So why and when we are looking at the universe as the form of the Lord, we should keep seeing the oneness within Him. So there is one story from Buddha. So Gautam Buddha, he was sitting in his monastery, and one of his helpers, he came around and he started telling him an incident. He said that there was a new person who came here, and when this person joined, we fed him, we gave him food, we gave him everything, and then we found that he had stolen the idol. So then Buddha was surprised, and he was also a bit upset. He said, "Why are you worried about that idol? It's just a piece of stone. You are worried about the idol, but you are not worried about the one who came to you for service." So that is why, we should see oneness in creation. We should be willing to give up our things for creation, not hold to them. That is one way of looking at it. Then, there is a second story of, okay, we should always give to others and we should be in sacrificing mode. But there was one more story. There was once upon a time a snake. So the snake was living in the ashram of a Mahatma. So the Mahatma said that, look, you should not eat non-veg, you should not eat the birds and animals around here. You should not be violent. So he, staying with the Mahatma, he started also eating the fruits and the milk that was fed to them by the Mahatma. But then one day the snake came around and he said that the kids in the kids around me had beaten me up. So he said, why did you take up their beating? So he said, because you wanted me to be non-violent. He said, I told you to be non-violent means I told you not to eat others. I didn't tell you that you can't hiss like a snake. That you can. So therefore, whatever is in the creation is there. They are all different. The objects have their different nature. So you should be compassionate towards everyone, but that does not mean you should not act according to the nature of everything that is around you, right? So if there is fire, it will burn you. You are not supposed to touch it, no? So that way, in that way, you have to be very, very giving and very, very helpful to all the beings in the creation. Right? So that is how we develop our relationship with God, right? Whenever we become closer and closer to God, we become a devotee. So initially to be called a devotee, it takes effort. Huh? So initially we are just whatever relationship we have. We are a husband, a wife, a student, a boss, a teacher, or whatever. So once we have these relationships, then we have to move from that relationship where being and belonging to God becomes our primary relationship. Now, there was once a very famous, once there was a cook, and he also used to sing. He used to sing very well. So his master used to hear him and sing and said, you sing very well, you should try something professional. So he said, okay then. So he auditioned for a show and then slowly he got selected. He won the competition. He became very, very famous, became a good musician. So when he was the cook at the house, they would say, the family would say, this is our cook, the cook who can sing. And then this guy became famous, and then one day he came back to his house, and then they said, okay, what would you like to do? He said, today I'd like to cook something special for you. And he cooked something. So then now they introduced the musician who can cook. So our roles are reversed. So that is how we have to become, from father, son, etc. to devotee. The devotee should become primary. So just like from the cook, he became the musician became primary. So in this way, we have to move closer in our relationship to the Lord, right? So once we do enter into that Jagat Ishadi, then we have to remember one further thing, how we transact. So in that transaction, there are so many guidelines given to us by Shastra as how we have to behave. So if we go to the highest, then knowing Brahman, which will come to later on. Brahma ko jana, there the knowledge itself is enough. But when we are in the world, we are doing a transaction. We are doing transactions. So when we are doing transaction, the transaction should be in accordance with the goodness of the whole of nature. सबके भले के लिए होना चाहिए. So उसको हम कहेंगे धर्म. We call it dharma. We should be behaving in a dharmic manner. So once we enter into this world with our relationships in a dharmic manner, then we have to do our things best so that they can benefit others. Now, what is dharma? So dharma is not something that some people say, I went to a temple, so that was a dharmic activity. No. Or I read a Shastra, that was a dharma. Dharma doesn't reside in the Shastra. Dharma is when something is actually done. When you follow that Shastra to do something, that is dharma. When you follow the feeling that developed with you in the mandir, then it is dharma. They might be the starting point to push you, but until and unless you do something, then it is not dharma. But for knowledge, you don't have to do anything. But for dharma, you have to do. Right? So our Shastra constantly indicate that without the actual doing, it is no useful. So therefore, we have to keep doing our dharma so that maximum number of people are benefited there. So whatever we do according to dharma should be something practical. It cannot be that you just talk about good things. That will never be sufficient, right? So therefore, we have to be what we call proactive. Proactive. So now how do we get to be proactive? That is the next question that comes to our mind. So when we are entering into dharma, then we have to further remember that this dharma that we are following, it creates for us different what we call states in our life. Huh? So different states. So Shastra says, what are those different states? The different states are, or you can say different vrittis, different kind of thought processes. They are Shanta, Ghora, and Mood. Shanta, Ghora, and Mood. So Shanta vritti, what is that? Shanta vritti is when we follow dharma. When we follow dharma, when we follow the path of goodness, then that is called Shanta vritti. Right? And so there our desires are suppressed. There our desires are for not just suppressed, they are for the greater good. So Shanta vritti becomes the source for the greater good. Then the next is Ghora, where Ghora is when our own desires they take more precedence, make prominence. So therefore, we become disturbed very easily. Some desire is not fulfilled, we get disturbed. Some desire, someone is creating an obstacle, we get disturbed. Someone is taking away the object of my desire. That is causing in us the state of what we call ghora. And so they all propel us to action. They all propel us to dharmic, adharmic action. So the Shanta vritti, it propels us to dharmic action. The ghora vritti, it propels us towards adharmic action. Then the third kind of vritti, mood. The mood vritti is what? The mood vritti propels us towards laziness. It is dominated by tamas. It is dominated by the inertia, the inability to do. So for such a person, no, he will say, I don't need anything, so I don't need to do anything, and I don't need to do anything for the world also. So this person will be always lazy. He finds in spirituality also escapism. In spirituality also, he wants to run away from the world. He wants to run away from his duties, and he doesn't want to be creative. Right? So therefore, the best way is to mold our activities, mold our thought process into the Shanta vritti. Shanta vritti can only come from dharmic action. Right? So therefore, whenever we are in this Shanta vritti, this state of calmness will always benefit not just ourselves, but it will benefit the society also as a whole. Right? So therefore, this Ashtamurti Seva, it represents service to society in the manner that it keeps this society very, very calm and peaceful, right? So therefore, we should be very, very dharma. So in dharma, what is the difference between dharma and muda and ghora? In ghora also we are active, we are productive. We have to decide to how to fulfill our desires, right? But in Shanta vritti also, when we are dharmic, then we are actually more active. We are more active because now our fulfillment is towards the whole world. I have to give everything to everyone. So therefore, I have to give more effort. So there, Shastra gives us another secret formula. Another secret formula. So just what is that formula? Happiness is equal to availability of objects, availability divided by desire. So if you correlate to that, what happens when availability increases? What happens to happiness when availability increases? Can anyone tell? Happiness is equal to availability divided by desire. Simple. It's not that tough. It's a simple mathematical formula. Anyone wants to answer this? Or is simple? Yes, availability decreases, one becomes less happy. So we need more. We need more. So if availability increases, we become more happy. So therefore, the more availability is there. But if desires are more, take the denominator on the opposite side. If desires are more, then what will happen? Then also happiness will decrease. If desires are more, if our desires outpace or they go beyond what is available. So therefore, Shastra always tells us to keep our desires at the minimum and keep the desires of the universe at the highest point. Keep those desires for the universe as more prominent. So therefore, when we follow this formula, happiness is equal to availability by desire. What do? We try to increase the availability. So in a dharmic family, the leader of the house or the mukhya, what would he do? He will ensure that he will eat last or he will eat the least, but everyone should be fed. So that is dharmic drishti. But for a selfish person like for a lot of people today, they want that their money they should enjoy, their facilities they only should enjoy. Other doesn't matter. If something is fair, I will give. Otherwise, I will not give. Therefore, to get into that mindset of going from you can say ghora to shanta, it requires a lot of effort. It requires us to be more productive. But what about the other one, the mood one? The mood is also in a sense stupid. Someone who is means lazy. But if you say in the sense of where the word comes from, mood means a pot that is upside down. So in that pot you cannot fill water, right? So it's useless. So that is what is called mood. So therefore, mood person is most unproductive. He is lazy. He's unproductive for himself as well as unproductive for others. So therefore, we have to avoid the sense of being lazy, indolent, and also avoid the sense of increasing our desires. Increasing our desires more for the society, but than for ourselves. So for this also there is a very beautiful story in the Upanishads. In fact, it's there in two Upanishads in different versions in both the Brihadaranyaka and the Chandogya. So I guess you would have heard of this. So in that, the organs of the body are fighting with each other. Who is more important or who is more valuable? So out of these organs, like the stomach and the eyes and the ears, and they all were fighting. I am superior. I am superior. So then they went to Brahmaji to decide who is more superior. So this is also in the Prashna Upanishad in one form, slightly different, but it's still there. So there also what happened was the organs were fighting among each other. So Brahmaji now what will he do? When you have to resolve a problem between two people, no, then it is bit easier because then you can make one person happy and one person unhappy. But when you have to resolve a dispute between a dozen people, then it's more difficult because then you will make one person only happy and 11% unhappy. So he said, look, there is a better way to solve this without me judging all of you. So you do one thing. Every one of you will leave the body for 1 year. And then let's see who's more important. So first the eyes went away. But the body survived. The person is walking around. In fact, the people on the street fed this person. They gave him food because he's blind and so on. Same thing, same way it happened with the other organs also. The ears went away for 1 year and so on. So all of them, when they went away, the body still survived. Body still survived. And then finally, Prana said, I am going now. And the moment Prana said, I am going now, then it is, they all started to pray, Maharaji, aap bachao, you please don't leave us, otherwise we'll all be dead. Right? So now what is the importance of prana? First at the individual level. The prana, what does the story tell us? The story tells us prana is the one that is the holder of oneness, ekatva, and the wholeness of what we call auchitya, the propriety. किसको क्या मिलना चाहिए, कब मिलना चाहिए, ये प्राण देखता है ना. So without taking anything for itself, the prana always gives or circulates to everyone in the body. It gives the eyes their seeing power, it gives the ears their hearing power, and so on. So this prana is the one that is the establisher of oneness in the whole body. Right? So therefore the prana is very, very important. Right? So in the same way, when we look at the samashti, the total, we can take it, the representative of that as the samaj, society. A society is represented by that. So, if we can explore our own history. So, initially when our religion, our dharma was very, very strong, then there were attacks on that from other new upcoming religions. So, the first of them was Buddhism, Jainism. So they attacked our one state of society, Brahmins. Yeah. So they attacked the knowledge part, and the Brahmins were attacked. They also fought back, and this continued. And so they succeeded to a large extent into establishing their own systems also. But the society still survived. फिर भी हम जिंदा रहे. Second came up the Kshatriya. The Kshatriya were attacked by the Muslims, the Mughal invaders. So they invaded, they had a lot of military power, they destroyed our military power. But over a period of time, never has India been fully occupied, parts have been occupied. So, and then ultimately later also we were free. So therefore, there was a short period relative to the huge history of our land in which we were occupied. So we can say safely that fully India was never occupied. Some people say India is the sum of parts. No, India is connected by one large culture all through, from the top to the bottom, whatever be the names given to them, those parts in the past. So when the Kshatriya aspect was attacked, then also we suffered. Again, we still survived, right? Then so these are contrast them or compare them to the parts of the body. They are also the parts of the body, the parts of Samaj. So then next attack was on the Vaishya. The Britishers came. The Britishers came, they attacked the Vaishya. They stole our businesses. They controlled all trade, commerce, everything. And so they stole all of our wealth, a lot of our wealth. Yet, we still survived. We still survived. We still pushed through that. Next, the modern class of people, they came. They advocated equality of everyone. And so what happened was that the working class got disrupted. No one is willing to do what is called lower work. Nothing is lower or higher in work. And because of that, the Shudra was attacked. So in this way, that also survived with time. With time now, those people who are doing that work, they are getting paid more. So in this way, that also we survived. So this Samaj also survived that. But what we cannot survive, what we want survive is secularism, dharma nirpekshata. So dharma is the prana of the Samaj. अगर धर्म के अनुसार चलता है, if Samaj, once we are secular, we have two very beautiful words in Hindi or Sanskrit for that. Dharma sapekshata and dharma nirpekshata. Dharma sapekshata is you look towards religion look towards dharma for the solution of all your problems, or not just problems, for guidance, for everything that you do. Right? Dharma nirpekshata is moving away. I am secular. I don't believe, all religions are equal. No, all are equal, but they are following theirs. So you follow yours. If you give up following yours just in the name of secularism, then no one is more stupid than you. So therefore, as long as dharma is holding us, it is the prana of the body. And therefore, same way, the people who are dharmic, they are also the prana of society. उनको कहते हैं, they are the prana. यही हमारी समाज के प्राण हैं. That is how we tell them. So therefore, this Ashtamurti that Bhagwan Ramana Maharishi has given us, this is the way how we have to establish or see the oneness of the Lord, in that we give everything people in society. So it has to be that Trishna, Trishna, the word for that you can say is desire or selfishness. हमें ही मिले. So that Trishna has to be controlled. So once that Trishna is controlled, then only we will be able to indulge in the greater good. So for that we have to keep producing more for the rest. So that has to apply to everything that we attain. So like wealth. So if wealth is there, you can generate wealth by illegal means. You can suppress those people who have less wealth than. So a bigger businessman, we say, badi machli, choti machli ko kha jati. So when that kind of thought process is there, then dharma will not survive. So someone who has a business of crores, he can easily destroy the business of one who has lakhs by underselling, by undercutting. So that person will lose his business. But when that same person is attacked by a thief or by a gunda, then he gets angry that he is using his power. But you use your money power. तुमने भी तो अपना धन का बल इस्तेमाल किया, दूसरों को नुकसान करते हैं. So our money power, our physical power, all should be turned towards benefiting society, not towards benefiting our own self. So that bigger vision should always be there. So that is the state. You can apply this to our other thought processes also. Right? So just like we talked about Krishna, we have the other negativities that come into our life, like sneha. People say sneha to badi cheez hai, sneha to hona hai, sneha or you should you have a liking for someone. So sneha is generally towards your own family or kids. So that sneha, it works when you are spending something on your kids, you are very open-hearted. But that same thing you need to spend on a servant or someone who's not outside of your family, you will think 10 times, right? So child will say, I want a car, you will instantly somehow arrange for that car. But a servant will say, I need a bicycle to come to work. You will say, no, why do you need us in this? Your child will say, I don't want to work today. You can't force him. But the servant will say, I need a holiday for an important function at home. You will say, no, you will not get holiday. You have taken your 2 holidays or 4 holidays of the week, of the month already. So in this way, that same vision is not there. So sneha also separates. Same way with raga, everything, no? The raga also, wherever our attachments lie. So all of these stages, at every kind of feeling that develops in our mind through these, we have to reach that stage where we can overcome them for the greater good. ज्यादा लोगों के भले के लिए हमें आगे बढ़ना पड़ेगा. Then only we can be true worshippers of Ashtamurti. Yeah? We can be worshippers of the Lord in His eightfold form of the universe. So as long as dharma is there, as long as our oneness with the universe is there, we have to be we can make our samaj grow. We can actually say that our Lord is, we are seeing our Lord in everyone. Otherwise, it is just dialogue. It is just you are just saying something which you don't actually act upon. That is why I said dharma is something that you have to act upon before you can actually say that you have done dharma. Because dharma is something that holds. कहते हैं ना धारयति इति dharma. That is how we define dharma. The one that holds everything together. So dharma is the prana that holds together this samaj. It holds together this samaj from withering and crumbling away or decaying away. So therefore, it is very, very important that we have to hold. That is why, whenever we teach something good to children, today we see a lot of, over a period of time, we see a lot of lack of civic sense or lack of manners in society. Why? Because we have given up dharma. And we lack the policing or the bal or the power of enforcement that other countries use, some other countries use, where there are very strict penalties. So here people are not yet able to afford. Slowly it is coming. A traffic fine is going up from earlier 10, 20 rupees to 10,000 rupees now. So now slowly it is being done as people are becoming more and more wealthy. So if at the basis dharma is there, then the positivity comes naturally. And it doesn't need everyone to be dharma. That is the to be dharmic. That is the ideal. वो तो इष्ट है, वो तो that is something that should be there, but not possible. But even if some people who are in key positions, or at least you can, if more aptly majority of people are dharmic, then they will be able to control the adharmic. Because when we develop something as a mindset for everyone, as a guideline for everyone, then someone who is an exception, then that exception can be punished or handled in some way or the other. But when we allow something, when we allow this feeling of desire to overtake, we should enjoy our life, we should spend our money like that. Once that becomes the ideal, then Trishna will destroy us. So therefore, we cannot let wanton enjoyment. We can enjoy to the limit, to whatever is good for ourselves. But sometimes when it gets out of hand, then we end up damaging society. So therefore, dharma should always be the guiding force of this society. So in this way, the Ramana Maharishi is saying that this Ashtamurti form we have to invoke and worship. This is how we have to see the oneness in the universe, right? So then we go on to the next one. So first is the gross worship. Next is the subtle worship, japa. So this is the sixth shloka. Uttamastavat uchmandata chittajam japa dhyanamuttamam. Uttamastavat uchmandata chittajam japa dhyanamuttamam. So Uttam is Stavad, Stavan or Stuti. Whenever we do a kind of invocation to the Lord, some kind of mantra or Stuti Gan, something of that, that is definitely appreciable or to be followed. But higher than that is what? Uchcha Mandata Chittajam Japa, the three kinds of Japa. So what are the three kinds of Japa? Uchcha, where we chant something loudly, we chant the mantra loudly, right? And then the second one is Manda, which is the when we chant something without moving our lips, without speech coming out of our mouth. And the third is Chittajam. Chittajam is when we chant in our mind. And then there is a higher one also that will come to later. Very without sound, the chanting without sound. So Uttamastavat Uchcha Mandataha Chittajam Japa Dhyanam Uttamam. So here Raman Maharishi has given us that once we perfect our worship, then we have to develop in our mind, in our heart, the feeling of love for the Lord. We always be connected to Him. So how does that connection happen to come about for us? Our Shastra has given us japa. So out of this japa, the first one is the Uchcha japa. Uchcha means doesn't mean you go shouting in the street. It means actually japa has to be done in a quiet and secluded place, right? So even if you're chanting loudly, okay, you can do it when some known people are there, but don't create a nuisance. Try to do it in a secluded place, right? Otherwise, you go for the second one. So whenever you are in a secluded place, you can do your chant, because when you do it in a loud voice, that also has its benefits. Those vibrations, they calm your mind. You or yourself also listen to them. So once you do that Uchcha jap, then slowly, your mind becomes more disciplined, more focused. And japa is not just chanting the name. Otherwise, that is a mechanical device. It has to begin with you visualizing the indicator of that japa. Whom is it talking about? So whatever mantra has been given to you by a guru, if it is he is a Shiva Bhakta, then he will say Om Namah Shivaya, or other japas of Shiva. So many, there are innumerous. So all these are there. Then if it is Vasudev, so Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So in this way, so many mantras, so many japa we have. Om Namo Narayana. So all these japa that are given to us, we learn to practice them. And with japa, we visualize who is the deity, who is the object of our japa, who is the object. And we visualize and we see his form within us. And then slowly, that form is also covered by the gunas, the properties of that deity, of whatever, who is the object of, who is the Lord of that mantra. So once we do that visualization, then we do japa. Now we start karne. So then what it means is, I am seeing the Lord in everything, my Lord is everything, He is pervading all. So that even after that, even if you open your eyes, then you will start seeing Him in all of the creation. So japa is not just first Om Namah Shivaya karte jao, do keep doing, and then you don't even know what you're doing. In between you're thinking of 10 other things. No. So your japa has to be focused, fierce and meditative. It has to be very, very focused. So once this focused japa is going on, that is called the Uchcha one. And then second one, of course, slowly, with the period of time when this japa becomes more and more practiced, when it becomes more and more, you can say natural. So it comes naturally, then you can chant slowly, yeah, without, and this is something you can do anywhere. So you are in a flight, people are around, you can do that. You can keep chanting. You can. Some people don't even want to show the mala, so they hide it in a bag and then they keep the japa. So that is a very nice technique. So in this way, this japa is next done it the sense from the speech. It moves to the silent enunciation. So if you have heard about the stages of speech also, what George is asking, what is the importance of visualization and bhava? When you do visualization, then visualization takes you to a more wider view. Earlier, if you just chant the name, then the name with its vibration will benefit you, no doubt. It's not that nothing is useless. Okay, but when you do it, then you see the Lord in all creation, and then your bhava becomes more of love towards it, not just the Lord, but as His being the supporter of all creation, as His being the antaryami or the or the behold or the holder of your heart or the seer of all your inner feelings. So once that is done, then that visualization takes you to a feeling of love and feeling of oneness that is more and more in tune with the world around you. So therefore, when you do this japa, you have to start with the bhavana. We have to start with the visualization of his sagun swarupa, whatever his nature. Uh, Initially, it is not very, very easy because we are all dominated by our raga and dvesha. So that is where our thoughts turn away. It is not easy to keep focused on the Lord when we don't even know much about Him. So that is also one very important aspect. Once we know about Him, once we learn about His stories, about His swarupa, his different activities, His leelas, then we can focus more. So once we think about them, then the Lord Himself shows us internally more of His play of the universe, and therefore we get more and more involved. That is why the more we know, the more we read, the more we understand about our Lord, the more our focus becomes only towards Him and away from the regular thought flow that we maintain in our lifestyle. The more the regular, what is the regular thought flow? My duties. I have to do this, I have to do that. And my desires, I want this, I want that. And also the way to reach those desires. कैसे प्राप्त करना. So that planning is always going on. The moment we wake, it starts. Right? That is why we say first when you wake up, you do this japa or dhyanam early morning, because then, till then your thoughts have not started bothering you. So it happens later on. So as you move into this dhyana, then the final one is that when you do it in the mental state. So here in the shloka also it is being said there that each of them are progressively better. Uttamastavad uchchimandata chittajam japa dhyanam uttamam. So each of them is uttam or better than the first. The high voice japa is less efficient than the silent japa, and the silent japa is even less efficient than the mental japa. So each of them silent we are still saying something, but it is not heard by anyone else. We are saying Om, but it's not being heard by anyone. It is there in your mind. That there are levels of speech also which are expressed in this way. So the par is the highest, then Pashyanti, then Madhyama, then Vaikhari. So Vaikhari is the normal speech. So that is corresponding to the Uchchita. So Vaikhari is when you say something loud and no, then, but there are people who can hear those other levels. So the Madhyama is the, this corresponding to when we are chanting silently. So that is when something is just in our mouth. Some people are expert from your faces or from your eyes, they can read whatever you are saying. So then say, then you have Maithuri, Madhyama, Pashyanti, para and Pashyanti. So para is when it is there only in the mental state. Some people can read your mind also. And then Pashyanti, the highest. Nothing has been even visualized as yet. It's still in the unmanifest state. So there also the rishis of our time of old, they could visualize the Vedic mantras. So that is called Pashyanti seeing. Pashyanti is seeing. So something that is not in the thought form, but yet you can see that. So in this way, japa is also of different levels. So the Pashyanti level of japa represents when it becomes anhatma. When the japa is not even mental, but it is heard by you. It is being heard by you internally without being chanted by you. It is being chanted by the universe itself, and you just have to tune in. So that is another higher level of japa, which will come later. But you can equate it to dhyana. Huh? So dhyanam is what? When from japa you go to the higher stage where everything becomes silent, where all of these sounds become silent, your mind also becomes silent. Then you can listen to the japa within you. That chanting will go on within you without you even trying. Effortless it will happen. So these three kinds of japa, each of them are higher than the other, and they take your mind to a state of more calm, peaceful state, where the mind is, you can say, shanta, it is very calm. Samahita, it is absorbed. Ekagra, it is one point. So all these 3 points are there in the mind. Shanta, Samahit, Ekagra. So when the mind is calm, then other thoughts do not disturb it. When mind is Samahit, it is absorbed in that higher thought. And when mind is ekagra, it is forced. Then from that comes the highest level of what we call sankalpa shakti. From the when whatever we desire to do or whatever we think of executing, then it becomes very easy and very powerful. It becomes very powerful because from silence comes the highest power, right? So that is why, when we do the morning japa also, I told earlier also that do the japa, and then when you, after doing the japa, you are mentally, you have visualized all the things you have seen in the Shastra. You have received some good inputs internally. So they will awaken within you a sankalpa. That sankalpa you have to fix. So jala, the water is said to be the best holder of a sankalpa. So you take a glass of water in preferably copper glass, hold the water in your hand, and after meditation, just focus on that. And after some time, your sankalpa is crystallized onto the crystals of the water, and then you drink it. So then that sankalpa enters you, making you even more powerful. Huh? So that is how the mind becomes very strong holder of this sankalpa. So therefore, whatever process we have seen, first is the stuti or the stavan, stotra. So that is how you should start. Initially singing the glories of the Lord, then slowly move on to japa, all the 3 stages of japa, and then you will finally be in that calm state of uh, establishment in the higher Lord. So always be aware, try not to make others hear, because the mantra is supposed to be secret. So don't make it known to everyone around you. Try to chant it, as I said, either in a calm, quiet place where no one can hear you, or when others are around, then you reduce the volume, or you totally forego the volume, or you do it mentally. So each of them is important in its own way. It is not that, again I repeat, that you think that this is the higher, so I'll start with the higher. You have to start with the lower and then slowly move up the field to the other ones, right? So the final stage of being of this japa is absorption in the nama of the Lord, in His name, absorption in His name. I become in a stage of oneness with the Lord. So therefore, once we have this sadhana, once we have this, then our mind becomes in a state of what we call free flow. So that free flow is described in the next shloka. So we look at that. Is it clear so far? Everyone okay so far? Any other questions? George has asked a few. I think I have answered them. So japa just concentrate, or there is a particular energy. Yeah, energy of the mantra will of course carry you. Once you are surrendering to the Lord, then the Lord's blessings, the Lord's power, it comes into you. You can feel the vibrations in your mind. Sometimes the vibration becomes so fierce that your head starts to heat up. You feel that energy really resonating within you. So that resonance creates a field of strong, you can say, energy and power. So therefore, all of that is there in japa. When the more you do japa, the more it will increase the energy within you, right? And that is what I said, that that energy will also express outwards once you move out of the japa. Hmm. So mantra, you have to let the mantra do its own job, do the work of increasing your power. So next we look at the next shloka. आज्य धारया श्रोत सा समम सरल चिंतनम विरलतः परम आज्य धारया श्रोत सा समम सरल चिंतनम विरलतः परम. So this thought of the Lord that we develop through japa, how should it now flow on? It should be like Ajya Dharya. Ajya Dharya. Here it is written Tel Dhara ki tarah. It is basically Ajya is the melted ghee. Melted ghee. So if you take the solid ghee, it will not flow. If you pour it, it will fall in droplets, or it will fall in blobs. But if you melt it, then it will flow freely. So that is why another word has been added, Srota Sasamam, just like the water is flowing, free flowing water. So there it is more clearly conveyed. But why Ajya? Ajya is mentioned first because Ghritam represents the sense of purity, the sense of, because in Vedic sense, Ajya Dhara represents clarity in knowledge. The free flow of that Ghritam. Ghritam represents the concentrated knowledge. Dugdha, milk represents knowledge. Then butter or Ghritam, it represents churned knowledge. Churned knowledge, right? And then that melted ghee or that flowing ghee, which is represented here as Ajya Dharya, that represents clarity in knowledge. Very clear, free-flowing knowledge. So that Ajya Dharya, that is how the japa should flow inside you. The form of the Lord should flow through you. His glories, His bounties should be available to you like a free-flowing river. Huh? And therefore, what will happen is it should take you towards saral chintanam. It should take you to a very state of very free flowing, and not the sense of broken viralatav param. Viral is khandit or broken, or a chant that is or a chant or a memory of Lord that is disturbed. Huh? So therefore, this Ajya Dharya represents the japa taking you to a stage of beautiful oneness with the Lord, where you are enjoying being one with Him, and therefore you enjoy His glories, you enjoy His bounty, you enjoy talking to Him, you enjoy listening to Him. Of course, talking should be less and listening should be more, and it will happen with time. So once you start listening to Him, that is the Ajya Dharya. Once you listen to Him, then He reveals His bounties to you. He reveals His knowledge to you. He reveals He will reveal the correct understanding of what we have just read in the scriptures. So therefore, the scriptural understanding can of course be taught to us by a guru. The guru will teach us, but in certain stages of meditation, whatever the guru has taught us or whatever the shastra we have studied constantly, the Lord becomes the guru. Yeah, the highest guru is who? The Om is the highest guru. He is that is the Lord only. So therefore, this Ajya Dharya represents that state of being where my focus is so much with the Lord that nothing else can disturb me. And you all know that once we are focused on a job, then our efficiency at the job is maximum. So we do something to our best capacity possible. So this Ajya Dharaya represents japa at the level of the mind, in a very, very free flow state. So once this happens, then we are slowly entering into dhyana. This is the stage of dhyana. Next, sir. So therefore, this dhyana is what, where I am, it will come in more detail later on. But till now here, my dhyana is totally, I am focused in the Sagun Swarupa of the Lord. In my mind, there is only the thought of Paramatma, of the Lord. There is only His Smarana. So once His Smarana is there, then even the name will drop. The name will drop. The name will drop. The name that you were chanting in japa, that name will drop. So we give up what we call the, Om is called Etad Alambanam Shreshtam in many mantras. It is the highest support. It is the highest support that will take you to the Lord. But you drop that support also. So that's Alambanam also, in that Saral Chintanam, that should also drop. And it brings you within you the highest form of love. प्रेम पूर्वक मन को ईश्वर में लगा देते हो. So therefore, whenever you do that, you are not putting yourself into any particular form of the Lord. You are entering into His more vaster realm. If it is Vishnu, then Vishnu as everything, not just Vishnu as creator. And so that is why in our different Puranas also we see that all of the gods are mentioned as highest in their own Purana, because each of them in their own aspect are the highest itself. So when Brahman, the highest reality, takes up the jug of creation, then he is Vishnu and so on. So therefore, once we enter the state of dhyana, then Paramatma is what we call the Dhey, the one who is being meditated upon. And we are the Dhyata. We are the one who is doing this action. And what is the action? That is Dhyana. Now in this stage, three become one. तीनों एक हो जाते. You lose all sense of yourself also. You lose sense of your body. You lose sense of your own separation from the Lord. You lose sense of only the Lord remains. Only the Dhyaya remains. So that is the state of Dhyaya, where the Dhyaya becomes, or the Lord becomes, the most important thing in your mental state. So in this way, when all of your raga, dvesha, all of your insistences, all of your negativities are set aside, none of your thoughts are centered onto other things that you desire or think about, then you enter into the Lord, and therefore all rag dvesha, they fall away, and they also lose their sense of attachment or importance to you. Earlier you had to control your raga dvesha to be more dharmic towards the world. To see the Lord in the whole world, you have to reduce your raga and dvesha. Now raga and dvesha totally grow in this state. So therefore, even when you come out, they are in a very, very reduced state. So this japa sadhana, it removes a lot of the defects of our mind. A lot of our defects of our mind, they are removed by this japa sadhana. The more we keep doing, our face starts to glow, our positivity is more, we talk more nicely to people, and we become more vibrant and more active also. So this is how this japa moves within us, to taking us to that stage of dhyana. That dhyana which is free flowing. Ajya. So there is more to be said on this. We will take this up in the next class. Time is up for today. So we'll wind up for today. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.